This is the fraction, decimals, and percent test review. Okay, so number 1, everything's on notebook paper. The table shows the results of a survey about favorite school lunches. Which is the fraction of students who voted for chicken nuggets or pizza? So pizza was 42%. Chicken nuggets were 18%. If you add those up, you'll get 60%. But now, write that as a fraction in simplest form. And we know percents, everything goes over 100. So 60 over 100, and then reduce it down as low as you can go. I'm not going to do that for you. You can do that. Number 2. Which number line represents the value of the expression 30% plus 5% minus 10% as a fraction? So 30 plus 5 would be 35% minus 10% would be 25%. But I need this as a fraction. And again, anything that is a percent goes over 100. So you would have 25 over 100, and you would need to reduce that down to as low as you can go. And then find it on the number line. Number 3. What is the sum of the two fractions on the number line, expressed as a percent? Okay, so on the number line, you have 1/2 plus 3/4. Because it says sum, and sum means to add. When you're adding fractions, you need to find the common denominator. And if I look here, 2 and 4, my common denominator is going to be 4. So once you find it, you keep it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that all the way across. Two times 2 became 4. So what you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. 1 times 2 is 2. You didn't change this one, so the 3 stays. Two plus 3 is 5. This is improper. So 5 divided by 4 gives you 1. And the remainder comes up to be 1/4. But we're wanting a percent, so we can just change that to the decimal, and that would be 1/4 we know is 1.25. Move it twice to the right, put your percent sign, so it's going to be 125%, which is A. Okay, I'm going to start doing it on the copy of the test because to me this is a little confusing when I'm not looking at the test. And if you're watching the video, you can't look at the test review. So, number 4. but you're going to have to write it on notebook paper. Fez the repairman is an appliance company. On Monday, he drove 82.1 miles. So on your paper, you're going to write Monday equals 82.1. On Tuesday, he drove 82 1/3. You need to find out what 1/3 is as a decimal. 1 divided by 3. On Wednesday, he drove 82 3/10. You should know immediately how to write that one as a decimal, being that it's 3/10. And then Thursday, he drove 82.45. On which day did Fez drive the greatest distance? So I want the one that he drove the furthest to. Well, process of elimination, you can cross out Monday, but Monday wasn't even an answer because we know that one's not going to be it. Because this one's more than that one. So you need to change 1/3 into a decimal and 3/10 into a decimal. 1 divided by 3 will get your decimal, and 3 divided by 10 will get your decimal if you can't figure that one out with just me saying it. And then look at the 10th spot to get your answer. And that would be the number right past the decimal. So Wednesday would be 82.3 because it says 3/10, and that's where the 10th spot is. Now you need to go ahead and do 1 divided by 3. And I will tell you, it is not D. There is not an equal distance between Wednesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday. Those are not equal. Number 5. Which two expressions represent the same value? The same value. Remember, fractions are only division problems written as written as fractions. So this would be 7 divided by 12, 29 divided by 15, 33 divided by 50, and 14 divided by 19. Which one of these says the same as this? 12 divided by 7, 15 divided by 29, 33 divided by 50, 19 divided by 14. Number 6. Of the parents surveyed, 25% prefer year-round school. What fraction represents the number of parents who do not prefer year-round school? So if you surveyed 100% and you subtract 25% because that's who preferred the year-round school, this one will not prefer. And that's going to be your 75%. But they want it in a fraction. So which fraction over here represents 75%? If you don't know, do your division. 24 divided by 25, 1 divided by 25, 1 divided by 4, 3 divided by 4. And see which one is the same as 75%. Okay, on a number line, point A is. So we need to make a number line. Okay, point A is 0.1. That's A. Point B is 2/5. So 2 divided by 5. You're going to have to turn that into a decimal, and I'm going to let you know it's 0.4. So we're going to put 0.4 here. Point C is 0.2. It's going to be a little bit after this one. and point D is 3/10. Well, when you say 3/10, that's your tenth spot. Now then, which shows the points in order from left to right on the number line? Number 8, Thomas can jog a lap in 3 1/4 minutes. Charles can jog a lap in 3.42 minutes. How much faster can Thomas jog a lap than Charles? So I need to find the difference. So we have 3.42 minus 3 1/4 as a decimal. We know, or you should know, 1/4 is 3.25. 1/4 of $1 is 25 cents. So you're going to subtract the difference and you'll have your answer. Number 9. Select less than, greater than, or equal to make the statement true. If I have 8/10 here and I have 8/10 here, because if I add a 0, they're identical. So they equal each other. Number 10, you have 0.9 is what to 9%? Well, 9%, remember if the percent goes away, the decimal moves 2 times to the left. So it's going to be 0.09. So which one's bigger? Again, look at your tenth spot. So it would be greater than, 0.9 would be greater than 9%. Number 11. List the following from least to greatest. Least to greatest. So to help me remember, I always put an L down here because that's what it wants, from least to greatest. And I draw a line all the way over here so I know to put my greatest number, over here. So I have 50%. We can change them all to decimals. So 1, 2, that would be 0.5. 1/5, if you did 1 divided by 5, you're going to get 0.2. So this one's 0.2. This one's already a decimal. And 3/4. Again, we know 3/4. You should know it because 3/4 out of $1 is going to be 75 cents. So now, least to greatest. Which one is your least number? Least number is going to be 1/5. Your greatest one is going to be 0.625. And now all you have to do is put the other two in from least to greatest and put them in original form. So your next one would be either 50% or 3/4. So which one's your least? Would be 50%, and then the next greatest one would be 3/4. Number 12. Express the fraction as a percent. So if I have 6/10, I want to put it as a percent. 10 times 10 is 100. So 6 times 10 is 60. So your answer would be 60%. Number 13. Again, you have 8/20. All percents go over 100, so let's just make it to 100. 20 times 5 gives me 100. 8 times 5 gives you 40. So your answer there would be 40%. Express each decimal as a percent. So 0.2, to make a percent, we move the decimal 2 times to the right, and that becomes 20%. Again, 0.12, move it 2 spots to the right, and that becomes 12%. Number 16. Express the percent as a fraction in simplest form. So 35% is always over 100. You need to divide by 5 to reduce them, and you'll have your answer. 10% would be 10 over 100. You would need to divide by 10. Divide by 10 and you'll have your answer. Number 18. Express each percent as a decimal. So 10%, if I move the percent signs away, the decimal moves 2 times to the left. So it's going to be 0.1 for your answer. Same thing, 32%, percent sign goes away. Your decimal that's right here is going to move 2 times to the left. So it would be 0.32. Number 20. An archer practiced shooting arrows to a target for 4 weeks. The table shows the archer's success rates in hitting the bullseye. In which week did the archer have the highest rate? So we can change them all to percents, or you can do them to decimals, however you would want. This one is already at 75%. This one's a decimal, so all we would need to do is move the decimal over and have it at 80%. And 14 over 25. If we change that one to a percent, we would put it over 100. So 25 times 4, 14 times 4, be 56. So this one would be 56%. And then you have 11 over 20. So 20 times 5 would give you over 100, that would give you your percent, 55. This would be 55%. So the question was, in which week did the archer have the highest success rate? You need to let us know what week it was and what the percent was. Number 21. Express each decimal as a percent. So again, you have 0.2. To make a decimal a percent, you move the decimal 2 times to the right, and you get 20%. Number 22. Which movie type was chosen most often? What percent students surveyed chose this type of movie? So we want to know percents, so let's just change everything to a percent. Well, this one's already over 100, so that's 17%. 21's over 100, so that's 21%. And if I wanted to change this one to 100, You multiply by 2, so multiply that by 2 and you get 30% there. And if I wanted to change this one to 100, you multiply by 4, so 8 times 4 is 32. 32%. So which movie type was chosen most often? Which one was your highest percent? And what percent of students surveyed chose this type of movie? So choose which type of movie was the most often watched and the percent. (23) List the following from least to greatest. So again, to remind myself, they want least to greatest, put an L, draw a line to the greatest. And now let's change them all to decimals. 2/3, 2 divided by 3. Figure out your decimal, it's repeating. 25% changes to 0.25. 3/5, 3 divided by 5. And then you have your 0.4. Okay, so do your math and list them from least to greatest. List them in original form. I will tell you that your least one is 25% and your greatest one will be 2/3. Number 24. Write each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. Fraction in simplest form. So we know that that's going to be over 100. So 75 over 100 equals, reduce by 25, 25, and then you should get your answer. Number 25. What is 86% written as a decimal? You have 86%. Okay, that's when the percent goes this way. You move your decimal 2 times to the left. So 0.86. 26. Express the fraction or mixed number as a decimal. So you're going to have to do 5 divided by 8. 8 can't go into 5. Add your decimal. Goes in there 6 times. 48. 2 left over. Bring down your 0. 8 goes into 20. 2 times. 16. Subtract that would be 40. Bring it down, be 40. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So 0.625. You're going to see this one on the back side too, so just remember that. Number 27, the library is 0.96 miles away from Theo's home. Express this distance as a fraction in simplest form. So 0.96, to change the decimal to a fraction, put your line under it, put your 1 under the decimal, and then zeros under the numbers. So now you have 96 over 100. Simplify that until you can't get it any smaller. Your answer should be, I would say, divide by 4. 96 divided by 4 and 100 divided by 4. And you'll get your answer. Okay, number 28. Whoops. The table shows the discounts offered by different departments at a retail store during a clearance sale. Arrange the departments in order from least to greatest. Least to greatest. So again, I want to put least to greatest to help me remember which one they want in what order. So we know 20% and 40%. Let's change the other two into percents. 1/4, you should remember what that is. Think of money. Anytime it's with the 4 on the bottom, think of money. That would be 25%. And then 5/8. Remember I told you the number on the other side, I believe it was 26. It gives you the decimal form. Well, the decimal form, because we did that on number 26, is going to be 0.625. So if we change the decimal to a percent, we have to move the decimal over 2 times. So that would be 62.5%. And you want it ordered from least to greatest. So you would write least would be your 20%, which would be appliances. And then your greatest one is going to be your clothing. And so you need to put the other two in the proper spot. Number 29. Caleb jogged 3.5 miles on Monday and 2.8 miles on Tuesday. Which day did he jog farther? That would be looking for the greatest one. Which decimal is your greatest distance? And just list the day. Estimate the percent that is shaded in the figure. Well, I could easily make that into fourths. So the shaded part would be 1, 2, 3 out of 4. So 3/4 would be your shaded parts. 31. Again, I would separate this one into fourths. And you have 1 part out of 4 that's shaded. So 1/4 is shaded. Number 32. Express each fraction as a percent. So if we have 3/5, we can change it over 100. 5 times what gives me 100? 5 times 20. So 3 times 20 will give you what over 100, and that will be your percent. Make sure that you put it in percent form for your answer. 7/20, same thing. 7/20 to 100. 20 times 5 gives you 100. So 7 times 5 gives you what? Write it as a percent. 34. Express each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. 0.5 would be 5/10. If you forget how to do it, draw your line under the decimal. There's your decimal. Put a 1 under the decimal. Put a 0 under your number. So that would be 5/10 divided by 5 to reduce in simplest form. Again, you have 0.72. Draw your line. Your 1 goes under your decimal, and then under the numbers would be your zeros. So 72 over 100. You need to reduce that as low as you can go. Probably divide by 4. Divide each of them by 4, and you should have your answer. Number 36. 6.3 is either less than, greater than, or equal to 5.9. So what is 6.3 to 5.9? Less than, greater than, or equal to? All right, we will go over this in class. Good luck. If you have any questions, you can leave me a message or see us before school.